David Orr, Cook County Clerk, is up next. We're going to talk about voter suppression. And I got a couple announcements I'd like to make. A couple of sad announcements. Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops, I Can't Stop Loving You, has passed away. Also, Nate Davis, a famed actor in Chicago, and he is actually the father of Andy Davis, the director. I worked with Nate in a couple of movies, including Stony Island. He passed away. He's a wonderful man. Our condolences and our best wishes to the whole family. And those of you who go way back and remember Join Community Union in Uptown, Peggy Terry's son, Doug Youngblood, passed away last week, and we were really sorry to hear that. I just heard about it this morning. You are listening to WLUW 88.7, Loyola University's community radio station. We are broadcasting live from the Heartland Cafe at the corner of Glenwood and Lunt in the heart of Rogers Park, and I am honored to have with us again Cook County's biggest vote getter and Cook County Clerk David Orr. Good morning to you, David. Stay very close to that microphone.
Good morning, Michael.
Thank you for coming over this morning. I know you had a big meeting downtown. Voter registration is up. Motor voter is up. Why don't you give us a little report on voting and then tell us both locally how it's going and then what we know about voter suppression around the country.
Well, first, it's going very well in the sense that we broke records in terms of the number of registered voters. All the work that you and all your friends did have paid off. Secondly, we're breaking records every day in the amount of people that come to vote early. We've been emphasizing that. Don't worry, vote early. Now my only worry is we might have so many voting early, the lines will be longer there. But it's been great. We had 51,000 vote in the February presidential primary. We will at least triple that, and it's possible we'll go as high as 200,000 voters. So that's off the charts.
What do you think is the reason people are, the registration is so high? Do you think it's just there's a heightened enthusiasm for the voting process? Is it because Obama, it comes out of Illinois, and not only in Illinois, but throughout the country is inspiring a lot of people? Is it conversely true that McCain is inspiring Republicans? What's your sense on the real enthusiasm about voting?
In Illinois, clearly the first two, not the third. But yeah, there's great interest. Some of it's negative in the sense that this country's in big trouble. People know it. They feel like whether they believe in the old thing that you should vote, in principle, they're just fed up. So there is great interest. They're coming out. The youth factor, the Obama factor, they're all playing into it. And even in Illinois, which isn't a swing state, we're going to have a very big turnout.
There's a lot of stuff on the news. Now, how much of it is true, how much of it is not true, we don't know. We assume there's a lot of true things about voter fraud and voter suppression going on. What's your take as someone who deals with voter registration on an ongoing and regular basis? What do you hear about the rest of the country, attempts by either party to keep voters out of the polls or get more voters in the polls? What do you see happening, David?
Well, Michael, most everybody wants to see a fair election and not see fraud in registration or other kinds of tactics. But as someone been around a long time, I have to say that what's going on is predictable as the world. The White House always puts out these scare things. At the end of registration, there's a calculated campaign coming out of the White House, partly influenced by a person who was kicked out of the Election Commission for his misbehavior, a guy named Hans von Spassky. He wrote articles about this years ago, so the insiders knew that the White House would get at least those Republicans they could affect to blow this way out of whack. Let's start with all these supposedly fraudulent voter registrations and attacking on a very good organization called ACORN. There's no question that there are people who cheat. They come to one of you and they say, listen, you can go out there, we'll pay you by the number of registrations you get. There are individuals that cheat. That happens. But there's plenty of aldermen in jail, there's plenty of congressmen that have gone to jail. Because that happens, that doesn't mean you stop registering people. The other thing about that is where there has been people caught, which has not been great, that doesn't really affect fraud. Because if you're too lazy to go and do the registrations like you should, all it means is you're making up names out of the phone book. Those people are not coming to vote. So it does happen.
Like Mickey Mouse is not going to vote.
Darth
Vader's not going to vote.
And they do get registered. So it's wrong. It's clearly wrong. But remember, Acorn is one of the only groups that's registering poor people. And they've registered over 1 million. So if there's a few cases like this. The other thing the White House-supported folks are doing is we get duplicates all the time. You know, Wayne Fraser's out here encouraging you to register, and you can't remember if you're still registered, so you register again. Nothing wrong with that. When you go in the computers, we catch it. That's a duplicate. A lot of times these Republican folks are trying to turn that into fraud as well. It's not. So here's the key. The key is everyone, including Acorn, because they're the ones that discover this, don't want to see this happen. The problem is who in this country really wants to discourage people from voting? And it's not Acorn, but it is the White House and those who are pulling all these tricks around the country and greatly exaggerating all this. In fact, now, as the facts come out, I hope before the election, the reason they fired some of those U.S. attorneys, like out in New Mexico where they're screaming about, is because those U.S. attorneys would not do what the White House wanted when it came to vote fraud. They had the same charges 2 years ago. Those U.S. attorneys said, this is bogus. There's not enough evidence here. And that's why they got fired by the same White House people that are now trying to pull the same tricks. So, of course, I'm against any kind of fraud. I don't want to see it. But I'm sick of the White House tactics that some people around the country are picking up on.